Yo, 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 yo. What's up? What's going down, everybody? It's your dog, Toddy, checking in with Atlanta Bird Gang. What's happening, man? Coming on tonight. This was I guess you can call it impromptu live broadcast. As I'm sure most of everyone knows already by now, the Atlanta Falcons. We got our punishment today for our tampering violation. So the NFL levied their decision on us today. So we're going to talk about that. And I'll give y'all my thoughts on it, and very interested to hear your thoughts on it as well. So we'll talk about that. We're also probably going to talk about some Tyler Allgeier tonight as well. Talk a little Tyler Allgeier. Talk about our linebacker room. Get y'all thoughts on that. Also, Trevor Lawrence just signed a mega contract, man. He just signed a Alex Rodriguez with the Yankees type of contract, man. You know what I'm saying? He just got the bag. So talk about that also, man. So a variety of things that we'll talk about. We won't keep it here too long. I know it's Thursday night, so got work in the morning. I think everybody I think the kids are out of school by now, so none of that. But we won't keep you here long. Just chop it up about that a little bit. Let's jump in the chat very quick and see what we got going on. We got Red in the building. What's going on, Red? Y'all make sure to check out Red on YouTube as well. Make sure you do subscribe to his channel. One of the youngest Falcons content creators doing this. How's everything going, Red? Coach is in the building. What's going on, Coach? Says, what's up, bro? This punishment shows that most fans blindly follow pundits and talking heads and never do research to believe we would lose first. Is absolutely crazy. I thought third at the highest. As you know, I was pretty much on that same boat as well. Because we've been talking about this a lot lately. I remember the last broadcast we talked about it. I said somewhere. I think I said I'm assuming like a third and a fifth, and it would just have to be something totally egregious, for a first rounder to be taken. And there was a lot of chatter of people saying first rounder, but I firmly knew that wasn't gonna happen. So we'll definitely discuss that as we continue to go along the show. Seth is in the building. What's going on, Seth? How we doing, man? Appreciate you checking in. T Terry in the building. What's happening, T Terry? How we doing? How we feeling? We got our guy Ray Ellison in here as well. What's going on, Ray? How you doing, bro? Mills in 1967 in here also. What's going on, Mills? How you doing? T Terry says, "Tired you at the Waffle House." No, not the Waffle House tonight. We may come back here tomorrow night and do the Waffle House, but not tonight. Wallace in here. What's up, Wallace? Says, what's good? We're tired of chilling like a villain, man. Got our guy Cool C is in the building, repping that 770. 770 in the building. Make some noise for the big 770. How you doing, bro? What's popping? Wallace says, yes, we got our ruling, and Calais is going to sign with the Dolphins. Yep. That news came down today as well. There was a lot of stuff that broke today. I guess this was today to break a lot of news. So we'll discuss the Calais Campbell thing also. The writing was a little bit on the wall that Calais was not coming back to Atlanta when they assigned that number 93. And Wallace, you got to remind me again who got that number. But once they assigned that number to whoever got his number, I knew he wasn't going to come back. I assumed maybe he'd retire. But once they assigned that number, I was pretty firm that he would not be playing in Atlanta, Georgia in 2024. So let's get the show on the road. Cut the music, DJ. Cut the music. Please, as you come in, do me a big favor. Like the video, please. That gets me in your algorithm, and that gets me in other people's algorithm. And it definitely helps the channel out greatly. So make sure you do hit that like button for your dog. I do appreciate it, man. But yeah, as we all know, the Atlanta Falcons were hit with our punishment today. We lost a 5th round pick. Franchise was also fined $250,000. Terry Fontana received a separate fine of $50,000. So we're going to discuss that. And also, I'm going to bring in a special guest to help us discuss that also. So we're going to talk about the tampering, and we're going to talk about some other topics. I'm going to bring him in here to talk about that as well. So we're going to welcome to the stage Slam. Slim, how you doing, bro? You got your mute on.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yeah, you good now?
I said, "What's up, everybody?" I said, "I'm living a dream, man. If I was doing any better, it'd be a crime."
Oh
What's up
man,
with you, Titan? How you doing?
hey, same here, bro. Doing fantastic, man. Can't complain, won't complain. Won't do no good because don't nobody really care anyway.
That's a fact. Say that.
Yeah, but so let's get the part on the road, Slim. As you know, the Falcons were found guilty. Like Judge Joe Brown, we were found guilty of tampering. So we had to go to NFL court. Had a defense attorney, a prosecuting attorney. Y'all see, I've been watching the YSL trial. I'm all in the judicial system. I've been watching YSL Witty on that witness stand, making me laugh. But but anyway, they hit us with a fifth rounder. We lost fifth round pick. We lost $250,000, which is absolutely nothing to an NFL franchise. Nothing at all. Terry Fontenot got hit with 50,000. I don't know what he makes per year, but 50,000. I assume he can afford that relatively easy. So, Slim, talk to me about that. Tell me, Slim, what did you think the punishment would be going into this process, and how do you feel now that you know our punishment?
Well, first, let me say the normal human reaction is when you hear that the Falcons involved in tampering, you automatically go to the extreme because it's always, oh, they must have did something that they must have told Kirk Cousins, don't talk to the Vikings because we gonna give you that contract. But when it came out, and the Falcons did the best thing by just admitting they just talked to Kirk Cousins about and the other two players about about they traveling to Atlanta 2 days before the legal tampering period. So in my mind, I knew it wasn't gonna be a first because the thing about a first is that's a franchise type of player. So they're not going to, unless it was egregious where the Falcons walked in the Vikings office and said, "Don't talk to this guy." I knew it wasn't going to be a first. I thought maybe a third. So because from what the reports were saying, that there was going to be strict on the Falcons. But after I seen that it was just talking about travel costs, a fifth makes a lot of sense. So especially like with the Terry Fontenot getting fined 50,000, Arthur Blank probably gave him that money to go pay. And then the 250 for the team. To me, yeah, I don't say it's a slap on the wrist because you never know what they could have got with that fifth round pick. But I do say it did send a message that, hey, we have to hold you to the wall. We have to hold you accountable for what you did. But I say the Falcons still came out winning because we still got a quarterback. So you got to take something else with your wins.
Yeah, you make a good point. And Wallace is pretty much agreeing with something that you just mentioned. Wallace says Mr. Blank is going to pay the entire $300K, which I definitely think will be the case. And if we can, Slim, I'm gonna take just a moment, and I'm gonna try not to bore everybody. I'm gonna read off the statement from Ian Rappaport because you mentioned the logistics in here. So this is the official, I guess we'll call it a press release from Ian at Rappaport earlier today. He says the NFL statement on the Falcons who received penalties for tampering. The NFL today informed the Atlanta Falcons of the discipline being imposed for violations of the anti-tampering policy related to improper contact with prospective unrestricted free agents Kirk Cousins, Darnell Mooney, and Charlie Warner during the 2-day negotiation period prior to the start of the 2024 league year. Atlanta will forfeit its original fifth-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, pay a $250,000 fine, and General Manager Terry Fontenot will be hit with a $50,000 fine. While the policy permits clubs to engage with and negotiate all aspects of an NFL player contract with a certified agent of any prospective unrestricted free agent during the 2-day negotiation period, any direct contact between the player and an employee or representative of the club is prohibited. This includes discussion of travel arrangements or other logistical matters, which the club acknowledges took place in regards to these three players. So, Slim, are they just saying that we were talking to them about travel, like, hey, when you gonna ride Atlanta, you can stay at this hotel, or my boy own these Airbnbs. Is that what was going on?
I think it was more to it, but hey, if that's what they're gonna hold me for, then that's just basically it. So I think it was more to it. I think it was more dealing with Kirk Cousins' medical issues, medical history. Because why would you talk to the team doctor? Because Kirk Cousins admitted he was talking to the team doctor. I think it was more of they was giving Kirk Cousins you know, a rundown of how his treatment is going to go. But regardless of the fact, he's not supposed to talk to anybody in the locker room because you're a player. Your agent could have did that. You see what I'm saying? But Kirk Cousins said too much on the stand. And these was the Falcons. The Falcons don't give hardball questions. As a matter of fact, the hardest I ever seen a Falcon interview room was when Mark Zeno was going in on Arthur Blank and them. That was the hardest I ever seen them go. But outside of that, it's kindergarten stuff, and Kirk Cousins walked right into it. So you don't say you talk to the team coach. I mean, not team coach, team doctor and stuff like that. But I think it was still harmless, even if he did. But the Falcons the NFL had to hold him accountable, just like they did with Calvin Ridley. When Calvin Ridley, I think he betted $100 or something like that on the team. On the team when he was out, he was during his recovery process. So it's just basically they knew it was harmless. I think the NFL knew it was harmless, but we still got to do something. And that's why I'm kind of glad they waited to OTAs was ending before they came out and said it, instead of doing all that, because that could cause a distraction.
Yeah, great point. Coach's Corner, y'all make sure to check Coach out on YouTube as well. He says a first round has happened 3 times in NFL history. Most recently, I think, were the Dolphins, and those reasons were egregious. Now, Slim, prior to us getting this news today, man, there were a significant amount of Falcons fans that were very nervous. You know, they were listening to some of the chatter online, some of the pundits, some of us guys with mics. Hey, man, we're about to lose our first round draft pick. So some in the fan base were very, very nervous about that. Again, I kind of don't want to say I knew it wasn't gonna happen, but I knew it wasn't gonna happen. Unless there was just something, just using that word egregious again. Just something totally out of the ordinary. Like the Falcons are absolutely, we don't care about the rules. You know, we're going to start talking about contracts early. We're going to meet with you early. We just don't care. You know, kind of like when the Patriots was doing all that shit, they just didn't care. So what do you think about a first rounder not being taken? And I know you already said, it's still a 5th rounder. Grady Jarrett was a 5th rounder. But is that a big sigh of relief for a lot of Falcons fans? It wasn't on a first rounder, because everybody's kind of happy it wasn't a first rounder. So can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it is a sign of relief because, like I said earlier, when the human mind hears something without a full context, they go all the way to the extreme with their thoughts. Like I could say, hey, that person just got arrested. You like, oh my God, he probably done shot somebody, or he probably robbed somebody. What did he do to get locked up? But then you say, oh, it was missing tickets and they just held them for bond. That's it. But
smart.
Yeah, but that's usually how people think when you first hear something, and then especially when the mainstream media said that they're going to go harder on the Falcons than they was on the Eagles. So you had to think, in order to go hard on someone, you got to be taking a first or a second. But when you don't have the full context, you always go to the extreme, because if the extreme happens, you can say, at least I was prepared for the extreme. But a 5th rounder, now people are like, oh man, that's what, 2 rounds away from ending the draft. So a lot of people don't really care. So
do you think by chance, and I know we are walking way ahead of ourselves. Do you think by chance the Falcons will try to do some type of trade to recoup that fifth round pick, or are they just gonna eat it when that time comes next offseason? Again, I know we way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, I think they just saying no. You just take that across the chin. Like for instance, just like with Terry Fontenot took it across the chin with the Matt Ryan's contract. Hey, sometimes you just gotta take that hit. You may lose a battle, but you still thinking about a war. So I, you could make, especially when it comes to knowing how the Falcons draft, they dibble and dabble with those fifth, third, and fourth round picks. They like to move around during the middle of the draft anyway. So I think they'll just take that and just run with it. Because it's if they try to make a big deal out of it, all they're gonna do is cause more distraction instead of just taking it and keep it pushing. That's why I think it was smart for them to just admit to what the NFL already knew, and that was basically saying we was talking to him about our because if you didn't, then they probably and you tried to battle with the NFL about it, then they would have probably tried to take a second or a third to prove that hey, we gotta hit you now. And that was with the Dolphins. They was going back and forth with the NFL, even though they didn't get none of the players. They was talking to Tom Brady. That's the face of the NFL.
Right. Right. And speaking of that, the Atlanta Falcons recently just released a statement about it. This was coming directly from the franchise. They says we're pleased this review is complete. We cooperated fully with the league and its review and appreciate the NFL's thoroughness as we do with every process. We will review how we operate and look for ways to improve. Sign Falcons. So that's pretty much what you just said, Slim. Like, we just gonna eat this, like we did something we I guess technically weren't supposed to do, but kind of like what every NFL team does. But the difference is Kirk Cousins went up there and he spoke when he shouldn't have spoken. And that probably was him just being excited. New team, new city, new reporters. So once he spoke and that fire started, you got all these reporters talking about it, and the NFL was probably just in a position where like, okay, we got to take some kind of action now. So we're gonna pretty much give you almost the most minor, consequences of your actions that we possibly can. So, the Falcons have put it behind them, and I'm totally satisfied with it, man. 250K fine and a fifth round pick, let's get ready to start training camp and get the season started.
Yeah, like you just said, I'm totally fine with it. But then again, what I'm fine with don't really matter, But I'm pretty sure the Falcons, they probably eating steak and lobster right now. They not worried about that fifth round pick.
Yep, I totally agree with you. Shout out to my guy Travis Preston in the building, repping that 478 in his house. What's going on, Travis? Hope everything going well. T. Terry says, Captain Kirk just was talking too much. He's a goofy. Self says he said he was on the phone with Kyle Pitts in Disneyland. Wallace says, yes, Tyler, we had some people and some fans just thinking the worst, and this is the reason they chose to draft Penix this year as well. And speaking of Penix, Slim, it's been a moment since we had a chance to be on air and talk Falcons. What was
hold on right quick.
All right, no problem. So while I wait on him to come back, let me read
now
some
you talking about speaking of Penix, man. One of my things just came in, baby. Oh, there you go.
Oh, hold on. Let me put it back up there. Let me stop sharing the screen. Go ahead.
There you go.
I got that Penix jersey. I wish I had the bell close, but I need to ring the bell for that, man.
Man, check this out. Penix jersey still one. That's the shirt, but I got the jersey too. But Penix is still $129. Kirk's is $98. So that tells you about the Falcons, baby.
Yeah. That's saying a lot, actually. that means one is way more in demand than the other.
You know what it is? The Falcons said, "Look, Kurt, you just cost us $250,000. We got to take that out your jersey number." You know what I
mean? We got to get that out the merch sales.
Yeah, we got to get that out your jersey sales.
But yeah, again, we hadn't had a chance to really talk in this setting in a moment or in a while. I should say. I want to go back a little bit in time. Speaking of Kirk Cousins and now just speaking of Penix, when the Falcons announced at the number 8th overall pick that the Falcons are taking Michael Penix Jr., what was your thoughts? Do you think that was because again that's been a controversial point also? Was that a good move, bad move? And just for everybody who's watching this, just so y'all know, I don't know what his thoughts is about it. I hadn't had a chance to ask him. So what was your thoughts about that?
Man, I was jumping off the wall, happy man. Because to me, it was the smartest pick. Because the thing is, and let's break down the mathematical equation of this. Everybody wanted them to go get a defensive end, correct? What is the average time frame for a defensive end to actually come into their stride? It's 3 years. So even if you got a defensive end right now, he's not going to get you double-digit sacks. If you actually look up in the NFL history, a rookie defensive end who got 10-plus sacks is only like 36 of them in their rookie year. So just to get a defensive end is not going to increase your chances of going to the Super Bowl, as everybody keeps trying to say. So even if you got a defensive end now, by the time that defensive end is in his stride, Kirk Cousins is already off the team. So you get your quarterback now because you're not planning on drafting another quarterback because you're hoping that Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in this division. And we all seen the numbers play out. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't go anywhere. The problem with the Falcons when we had Mariota and when we had Desmond Ridder at the center was you're trying to hide the inefficiency of a quarterback behind your running back or behind your running game. It doesn't work. We've seen it live. It doesn't work. Your playbook can't cover or can't mask the poor performance of your quarterback. You've seen how Arthur Smith kept taking plays off because Desmond Ridder just couldn't do it. He was having trouble reading defenses. So if you look at it from the number standpoint, getting you a quarterback makes the most sense. So me personally, before the draft even started, I said this was the smartest move. If the Falcons got Penix, it would have been it's going to be the smartest move since the Julio Jones trade.
Yeah, and that definitely paid dividends. And I'm totally with you on that. You know, I was definitely surprised. I think like most of everybody who was watching outside of the people within the organization. But I quickly thought it was an excellent pick. You know, we already said right there at number 8, Kirk Cousins is basically only here on the 2-year deal. You know, so that gives him time to sit behind Kirk, learn for at least, I'm guessing, a year and a half to 2 years. And year 3, hey, man, you hit the ground running. And I know a lot of people, you know, brought up his age and whatnot, but I'm going to presume he's going to probably start around the age of 26. I mean,
that's still good.
Still good, you know. It's still you got a 10 to 12-year career ahead of you. You know what I mean?
And that's still winning. The average lifespan for a quarterback in the NFL is 3.5 years. That's literally one contract. So if you can get 10 years out of a quarterback, you winning. The problem is that people was trying to find any reason. They was just throwing anything at the wall, hoping it stick with this age thing. Look at all these quarterbacks right now who's going to be starting. I watch a lot of the NFL teams draft, OTAs and stuff like that. And I was reading a lot of reports. Even Caleb Williams is struggling. But yet you're going to throw him out there. That could be detrimental to his career development. So studies show it's beneficial for you to actually have a quarterback sit for a year or two. Instead of just throwing him out there in the fire, hoping that he learned because if his confidence is gone, there's nothing you can do that's going to help him. He's done. He's and then with the NFL now, it's too much money involved. It is not like when Drew Brees his whole contract was $49 million. So it's not like that. That's what you get in a year. As a matter of fact, you're getting around $55 million a year now. So teams now are basically saying, I want this if I'm going to pay this quarterback this kind of money, I'm going to try to get the best out of that player instead of just trying to rush him in. And then if I end up messing up with him, I'm stuck with him. So it makes more sense to just sit Penix for a year, maybe two, and then come in, because Kirk Cousins was looking for a 2-year contract with the Vikings, and the Falcons gave him that. So regardless of how we talk about that, oh, Kirk Cousins was getting paid a lot, that's just the average rate for a quarterback of his caliber. Regardless if he got one win, he's still a above average quarterback. He's going to draw that kind of money.
Right. You are absolutely right about that. It ain't like we signed somebody of Mariota's ilk, or anything close to it. Before Kirk went down with injury last season, this man was in the MVP race. I think he was the leading candidate before he went down.
18 touchdowns in 8 games. That man was, come on, that dude was, although his record was 4-4, he was at 500, but still, you give me 18 touchdowns in the NFC South, we winning. Like, that's just no ifs and buts about it.
Right. And you make a great point, about the quarterback market. So just going back to that point, I think it was a great idea. I have absolutely no problems with it. And something that I've been very vocal about, like, you got the 8th pick. You're in quarterback territory. So get it done now. Sit him down. Yeah, you just gave Kurt some money, but yeah, sit Penix down. And that way that is out of the way. You don't have to come back next year or the following year and trying to spend more draft capital to move back up into the draft. So you took care of your a position, and you didn't have to spend anything more than what it cost you sitting there already at 8. So as they say, he fell right into our lap. And I've been doing a lot of research on Penix, and some people were like, man, I got him as the second, third best quarterback in the draft. So
Facts. As a matter of fact, he would have won the Heisman if it wasn't for injuries and Indiana. He would have won the Heisman. But, everybody like to hold on to, oh, you did bad in one game. Because he was the second most voted quarterback in the Heisman running.
Right. And then sit behind Kirk Cousins, man, it's gonna do nothing but good things for the kid. And that, when he do take the keys to the car year 3, he'll be ready to roll, man. He will be ready to roll. Patrick Mahomes has been very famous in saying that it did him nothing but good to sit down that 1 year behind Alex Smith. And I'm not trying to compare Penix to Mahomes, but I'm fine with it, man. Like you said, you take a defender, defensive end, or cornerback, or whoever. I don't think that makes us a Super Bowl winning team. Just off that one player or that one position, in my opinion.
Because you can't say, here's the thing, and this is where I think people let the mainstream media or the mainstream sports media control their opinions. You can't say I'm in win now mode with a rookie defensive end. You can't say that. Like, you can't use that argument. I'm in a win now mode. How are you in a win now mode? This dude don't even know the NFL. So you're basically saying you need to come in and be producing a Bosa or what's the one who just retired? You need to be producing on that level. The dude
JJ Watt.
Him and the other one that was with the Rams just came from the Rams. He retired. But if a defensive end came in, he still got to learn his stride in the NFL. So you can't say we're in a win now mode. I will see if you go draft a veteran defensive end, then you can say we're in a win now mode. But when it comes to the draft, this is how I always look at the draft. Your first round should be your future pick. You should never value any position over the quarterback, regardless of the fact. I think Andy Reid said it best. The time you need a quarterback is when you don't need a quarterback. So if Kirk Cousins is on a short-term deal, there's no way you can argue that fact. He was on a short-term deal. If short comes out of your mouth, you need to be trying to find you another quarterback. And if we keep Kirk Cousins in year 3 and year 4, that means we couldn't find a quarterback to replace him. That's the reason why they put those 2 dummy years on his contract.
Right.
And they told Kirk Cousins, hey, although you're coming here, we will be actively, within the 2 years, we will be actively looking for your replacement. He knew what was coming on. It's just the fact that he must, I'm just insinuating, but I think he was thinking, I'll at least get 1 year without having no quarterback controversy. But it's not a quarterback controversy. People want it to be a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And everything I've heard from Kirk Cousins, I love listening to his interviews now that he plays with the team. Of course, I pay attention to what he say now. But you can read between the lines of what he's saying. It's like, look, ideally, did I want them to draft a quarterback? I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Like, no, but I understand. Like, I'm 36, coming off an Achilles injury. That's the business. He's pretty much saying, I get it. I understand it. I didn't take nothing personal. I understand this is the business, and that's what he's been relaying in all his interviews when he's talking about the situation. So I'm hoping and I'm thinking 6-7 years from now, Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, they're gonna look like geniuses because especially Fontenot, like, dude, you at some point you got to get your quarterback, man.
Yeah,
as a new GM, you got to get your quarterback, bro.
Yes.
At some point, you go ahead.
You go ahead. I was about to say, then not to mention, I think when you got your GM and your head coach, I'm talking about Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, literally like equals, you could tell that Desmond Ridder wasn't a Terry Fontenot pick. Now, I know they're going to say we collaborated with it, but I think with Arthur Smith, it was that he valued his playbook and he thought his playbook superseded the importance of a quarterback. And he learned the hard way. He learned it in 3 years. You never value a position over your quarterback. And you cannot hide a quarterback poor performance behind a run game. Because if a team don't respect your quarterback, they're going to put that one man, that safety up. They're going to play that safety up. And I don't care how good Bijan Robinson is, because he's a good player. It's just not conducive for a running back to get the ball and already got two people looking at him. So it just doesn't work in the NFL, especially now that the NFL is moving to a passing league. Every team now is trying to pass the ball. This is why the running back position is getting devalued.
Yeah, and Wallace says, and I tried to tell people that they didn't go out to Washington to work out Penix for nothing. Good point. If he's available when they pick, they were probably going to draft him. Great point. Coach says, preach, bro. I'm so tired of saying this same thing and no one understands and no one gets it. Seth Thomas says Denver was trying to land Cousins. Seth also says, how much did they pay Trevor?
$275.
$275
million guaranteed.
Yeah. So Slim, let's interject the Kirk Cousins brand new contract into the conversation. Also, since we're talking about quarterbacks, we might as well go ahead and add him to this equation. So Kirk Cousins just signed a extension, 5 years, $275 million. He's averaging $55 million per year. I think he got $200 million guaranteed. Yes. And I think it was 142 guaranteed at signing, if I'm not mistaken. So needless to say, he got paid. What do you think about that contract, Slim?
I think now, especially when it comes to the new rules, NFL wants, because here's the thing: the NFL is in the bed with the gambling office now, and the fans who's doing all these complaining are the same fans who want to see more scoring. So the NFL is going to give you that. They want more scoring. So now the quarterback position becomes more important, because now who's scoring the ball the most? The quarterback. This is why the wide receivers now are getting big old checks, because they are important now. Right. So now when you look at the NFL, you take the first top 5. If I'm an agent, you take the first top 5 highest paid quarterbacks, and then you divide it by 5. That's the ground level floor of your negotiation. So with Kirk Cousins was actually below the average of when he was getting his money. So the thing is, nowadays, regardless if you good or bad, because a lot of fans thinking this is kind of like mad and I just offer you something and whether you accept it, you just gonna accept it. No, these agents get paid like 3% of those contracts. So if I know you, I'm gonna try to get the most money for you. I'm not gonna walk in the door trying to take a show. So when it comes to like this, these quarterbacks, 50 million, I think is the ground level. And what Trevor Lawrence just received, he's going to reset the market. And now he's getting what, 55 mil a year?
Yep.
Other quarterbacks behind him are licking their lips because they finna come in the game. They finna come up.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And some numbers on that on Trevor Lawrence and Kirk and how it correlates with Kirk Cousins, because as we always do when it comes to quarterbacks in our fan base, we never agree on anything. That's always an argument point. But Kirk Cousins is now tied for the 9th highest contract in the league, based on average made per year at $45 million. He's actually tied with Patrick Mahomes, so I think that'll change relatively soon. He's tied for 16th in total guaranteed money at $100 million. He is 11th in the NFL in guaranteed at signing with $90 million. So really, Kirk Cousins, after today, he's really no longer a top 10 highest paid player in the league. So when you really break this down and think about it, people are like, oh, you give Kirk Cousins all that. No, it was a good deal. That's what he's supposed to get.
And let me hit you with this one. How much is Penix making a year? $5.5 million a year. So if you add Penix and Cousins' contract up, you still won't get up there to where them folks at. So the Falcons got 2 for 1. You got the best lot, you got the best quarterback room, and you still barely scraping over 50 million for just those 2 quarterbacks. You're winning. Like,
right.
And that's the thing I think a lot of fans have. They have this mentality of just because you making this kind of money, you shouldn't try to invest more into yourself. And Kirk Cousins, you got to give him his credit. He's not going to take a show. He's not cutting no deals for no team because the team won't cut him any deals. So he's smart with his money. And then if you want that kind of caliber quarterback, you're going to have to pay. I see if the Falcons went and got a Jacoby Brissett or someone like that. But don't expect to come in the game trying to win because the likelihood of you winning the division is low then. You got to have a quarterback. You just got to have a quarterback, and you're going to have to pay. You're not going to – I hope the Falcons get that 2001 contract mentality out their heads now because these quarterbacks are not coming trying to take a shot for the team. They trying to get as much money as they can because this is still their job. This is not Madden franchise mode where you could just offer somebody anything and then if they don't accept it, you hit the reset button. No, you need that quarterback in the building. And if you're not going to pay, somebody else is going to pay them. That's just reality.
Right. Very well said. Now let me catch up with some comments real quick. Raymond Collins, what's going on? Perez Lopez, what's going on? Georgia, Texas, boy, what's happening? Since I've been saying the same, Kirk only gets guaranteed contracts. So those extra 2 years show he won't be here past 2 years. Kirk Cousins essentially would have to lead this team to a Super Bowl victory. And, I mean, he would have to be just playing out of his mind. And if he leads the team to a Super Bowl victory, don't nobody care about this contract. I mean, this quarterback situation at that time. Nobody cares if he leads this team to a Super Bowl. So in order for Kirk to make it to year 3, like I say, he needs to put a parade on Peachtree Street and just be playing outstanding football. And honestly, the data, history, the averages say once he get about 38, he's going to take a drastic fall.
Mm-hmm.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You good? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even if he won a Super Bowl, you still got to cut him after year 2. Why? Because the likelihood, the odds of a quarterback going back to back to Super Bowls is slim to none. So you still gonna have to just suck it up and just say, "Hey, Kurt, you had a good run," and not to mention and I know this is being devil's advocate. Why would the Falcons give to Kirk Cousins all that leverage? Because Kirk Cousins can retire at any given time. He can retire at 36, 37, or 38. He can just say, you know what, I had enough. I'm going here and retire. Then you still out of a quarterback if you didn't get Penix.
Right. Yeah. You make a great point when you say that. Georgia, Texas boy says, bro, dropping some knowledge tonight. Perez says, I'm not mad about them upgrading the quarterback room. I'm mad at how they went about it. Can argue that Kirk was probably the best quarterback in free agency this year. And when you say you mad about how they went about it, Perez, be a little more specific for me, and that way we can talk on that. Georgia, Texas boy said, what was our weakest areas? Quarterback and secondary. And now we have at least 3 teachers in each area. You want to talk on that, Slim?
My thing with because with the cornerbacks, he said secondary, he talking about the DBs. You're going to have to pay AJ Terrell. A lot of people really don't. When you talk about these fans nowadays, they only measure a defensive player off of interceptions. The problem is AJ Terrell is a shutdown corner. So that means he's manning you up. AJ Terrell is in your hip pocket. He got a ton of pass breakups. Now, granted, they're not interceptions. It's because he's running with the wide receiver, and you're not catching over him. He only gave up 4 touchdowns last year out of 18 games. Let that sink in for a minute. Just let that sink in for a minute. And then the Falcons played, zone 70% of the time? And he still only gave up 4 touchdowns. Just let that sink in for a minute. The problem with a lot of Falcon fans is they only measure a person's success off of interceptions. But when you shutting down your side of the field and you keeping quarterbacks from looking over there, you deserve your check. And he's going to get around $20 million a year. That's just what the going rate is, as you can see with the Trevor Lawrence. It's the going rate. You're going to pay. There's no if and buts about it. You're not going to tell AJ Terrell to take a city discount. For what? Why? Why should I take a city discount?
Right. At 25 years old.
I know, because another team is waiting for the Falcons to say, oh, we'll let him walk. Like, come on. And also, when it comes to building these teams, a lot of people want them to go get another elite cornerback. You don't need one because you can't afford it. And the only reason why I say you can't afford it is because when you're building these teams, you have a certain amount of money in a pot for positions. So you don't want to start we need 2 elite cornerbacks, to make sure and all that other stuff. You got one. Stick with him and go get a good second string cornerback, because here's the reality. You're going to have to pay both of them if both of them are elite, or you're going to have to let one of them walk. So the thing is, you just need, that's like with and I'm switching over to wide receivers. When the Falcons had Julio Jones, who did they go get? They didn't go get another elite wide receiver. They got Mohamed Sanu. He was a above average wide receiver, because you're not going to have to pay him a Julio Jones contract. It's just, at that time, you're not putting that kind of money in the wide receivers like that, even though they was one of the highest paid positions.
Very well said, bro. Very, very well said. And I've been saying that a lot lately also when I'm talking about AJ Terrell. I know you mentioned that he only gave up 4 touchdowns this past seasons. He only allowed on average 2.5 receptions per game. And like you say, fans love highlights, and an interception is a highlight. They're going to show that on the local news at 11:30, 11:45. That's going to be on ESPN. But what they're not going to show you is him locking this guy down. Like this guy didn't get but 36 yards on 3 catches on AJ Terrell today. They're really not going to point that out. You got to come to local analytics to know that information.
Yes.
So when you say they got to pay AJ, I totally agree. Now, as a fan, do I really want to do I readily want to give AJ Terrell $19.8, $21.4 million? Of course not. I want to keep all the money in the house so we can spread it around. But thinking logically, you got to pay AJ. Let him walk in the free agency at 25 years old. You know, like come on, and like okay, you let him walk in the free agency. Like, who you gonna get to replace him?
Facts.
You know, and I get as fans, we say, well, we can do this, we can do this, and we can do it. Well, what if you downgrade? You know, we are Falcons fans. We all know how hard it has been for us to get a good cornerback. AJ is a good cornerback. Am I saying AJ is a great corner? Is he at the top of his position? No, I'm not saying that. But AJ is good to very good. You know, he had a great season when he was second team All Pro. So he has shown you on a 17 game season I can perform at an All Pro level. And then we talked about the market for quarterbacks. You know, I sat down one day and let me see what around AJ gonna make. You know, you look at it. You look at the players that are making 19 point cornerbacks that are making 19.1, 19.4, 19.5. AJ Terrell been on them dudes.
Better than
so logically thinking, you got to just understand, like, hey, that's the market. Like before COVID hit, you could buy a nice car for 10 grand. You gonna have a hard time now getting a nice car for 10 grand now because the market changed.
Look at the housing market. Look at the housing market. Some people paying what? When I've been hearing folks say, I done paid $100,000 for my home. I'm like, golly, man, I had to pay $400 for mine. So it's like, but the market dictates what it is and what you're willing to pay. And not to mention, I can say I'll say this: AJ is probably one of the top cornerbacks if you look at his production. Now, granted, you know, PFF gave him, I think, like a 75 or something. Yeah, but if you look at his production based on the quarterback that was on our team, then you will understand he's probably one of the top cornerbacks in the league. And the only reason why I say that is because, let's break this down. Desmond Ridder wasn't good, and Marcus Mariota wasn't good. So what does that mean? That means your defense got to keep coming back on the field, because as soon as they sit down, guess what? Oh, the offense turnover, especially when Desmond Ridder's turned the ball over an average of 2 times a game. Yeah. The defense don't get a chance to get a rest, and he was still producing. So the thing is, if you look at his production based on the team that they was on, off the production of the quarterback, you will see that he's in the top of his craft. And not to mention, a cornerback position is considered one of the hardest positions to master in the NFL. Right. So that's why I say, as you said, people only care about flash plays. Just like the reason why Michael Vick is so loved in Atlanta, because Michael Vick made watching football like watching an episode of Jerry Springer back then. You know, you used to go to school and you used to be like, man, did y'all see what happened on Jerry Springer? Yeah. Michael Vick was just that electrifying. He made Atlanta speak with the electrifying plays he was doing. AJ Terrell is getting it out the mud. He's putting in that work, getting it out the mud. And a lot of people, when I go out of the way to defend AJ Terrell, they say, well, Jesse Bates got 7 interceptions, but Jesse Bates is looking at the quarterback. He's a safety. He's not running with a receiver. He's looking at the quarterback. If you look at most of Jesse Bates' interceptions, he baited the quarterback into throwing a pick. So he's looking at him. He's looking at the quarterback eyes. AJ Terrell is not, because he's running with the receiver.
Right. And to break it down even more, what Slim is saying is, Jesse has an advantage that AJ don't have. You know, he's looking from start to finish at this quarterback's eyes, and like, you know, and AJ Terrell, he's running with his back to the ball, and he has half a second to turn his head around and make a play. You know, so we definitely on the same side of the street on this topic, man. Like, look, you got to pay AJ Terrell. You know, as long as he asks for that astronomical, if he want $27 million a year, of course he ain't gonna get that nowhere. You know,
yeah, he gonna get that nowhere. he gonna get what the going rate is for a person of his. Now, I'm not gonna say the Falcons not gonna try to shout him,
right? Of course, that's just business.
That's the organization.
That's how you negotiate. You know,
yeah, he gonna have a counter offer, and if his agent tell him, man, take $18 million or take $17 million, then he should fire his agent immediately. So that's just how it works.
Right, right. You're gonna be playing in around 20 million per year for AJ Terrell, and we gotta pay it. We should pay it. You know,
I agree.
we gotta pay it. We should pay it because you let him walk, man, and you just going on this premise. Oh, we'll just go get somebody else. We'll just draft somebody. Okay, good luck. You really think everybody coming to the league like Sauce Gardner? That cornerback? You know how hard it is to play cornerback in today's NFL?
And let me add on to that by saying, did you see how hard it was for the Falcons to even try to move up in the draft before and during the draft, and how many times they were getting told no?
Right.
The other teams know what you need as well, so they're not going to help you get what you need. Like it's just foolish. So unless you willing to sell the farm, like that's just what it is.
Right. And how often do you see a team sell a farm for a cornerback? You know what I mean?
Facts.
It don't really happen that often. So, and we drafted this cat. He's 25 years old. I can understand he's 31. Oh, okay, well, it's about that time anyway.
Like a
you ain't got but 1 or 2 more years, and dude, 25. You know what I'm saying? He probably still ain't really hit his peak. So, man, you got to keep AJ. You can look at Jeff Okudah, and I know we had a lot of excited fans when we signed Jeff Okudah. Oh man, Okudah gonna come here, and one of my sayings I be saying a lot on social media, like, what makes y'all think these players are just gonna come to Atlanta and be something they never were in these other teams?
Facts. I say that. I think you asked a question about Super Bowl or bust with the Kirk Cousins thing.
Yeah,
and I said the exact same thing you just said. Kirk Cousins only got 1 playoff win. So what would I consider a win when it comes to Kirk Cousins? That's why I was like, man, I wish I was on that episode. Just having a winning season, because that's what he can do. That's what he can do. He can give you. When you talk about getting into the playoffs, anything can happen because you're going up against the best. So that's why I can't look at the team as, just because we got Kirk Cousins, it should be a Super Bowl or bust. But I think by winning, players build off of that winning culture, and it's beneficial for the team, because if you go into the off season with a losing season, that's detrimental to a team. That's detrimental to every player on the team, because we better than this. So especially when the Falcons got a team that's quote unquote loaded. So I think just having Kirk Cousins, you should demand a winning season. And then whatever happens in the playoffs, it happens in the playoffs.
That's a good way to look at it too. All right, so let's see. Perez Lopez says, but ask yourself, if Kirk is so good, why did the Vikings feel the need to pay Jefferson instead of Kirk? Then we trade up and draft Ruke in the second, when Lassiter and Bullet were right there, and we need defensive backs. You want to respond to that?
All right, let's unpack that one. So he said, well, if Kirk was so good, why did the Vikings feel they need to pay JJ instead of Kirk? Because he was the best wide receiver in the league right now. So, and not to mention, Kirk is 36. The Vikings already knew, we see what we got with Kirk Cousins. And not to mention, the Vikings are in a harder division than what the Falcons are in. So Kirk Cousins there, he might get you a win, but they are looking at Kirk Cousins like, we have to start trying to figure out a succession plan for you. Coming to the Falcons, Kirk Cousins can have a better production because we are in a quote unquote not so good division. So the thing is, the Vikings are they're not going to pay Kirk Cousins that kind of money when they know, hey, based on the division we in, based on our types of needs, just paying a quarterback on a short-term deal, that kind of money, just not worth it. And with the Falcons it's a total opposite. We got our needs. We need to start winning now. And the Vikings went to the playoffs, I think, 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago?
It was something like that.
Yeah, so they're not – the Falcons are 7 years in having a losing season. So we more desperate than what the Vikings is. That's just basically it. How Terry Fontenot said, you don't go grocery shopping hungry. So, and that's just what it is. We more hungry than the Vikings. Then they said, then we trade up to get Rukaroro. To me, the Falcons are more on the left side now. And I've been yelling this for the longest. Your defensive ends shouldn't be shouldn't be less than 6 feet. And I think the Falcons are going for length. They're going for space eaters, and they're going for because what is Raheem Morris' biggest thing when it comes to defense is that defensive line. To me, a lot of people keep talking about, oh, we just need an edge rusher. We need this, we need that. Why is it so hard for us to say, AK, Carter, you've been here 3 years. You should be in your stride now. AK didn't have a bad season. AK had 6.5 sacks. He didn't have a bad season. So he's in year 3. Once again, the average time for a defensive end or a defensive player to find their stride is 3 years. He's in his stride. Now you're holding them accountable. Now you can't go say, well, we got another rookie and he's going to take your spot. No, we're holding you accountable. You're going to have to lose that spot on your own and off your own merits. So I think they did the smartest moves in the draft. They did the smartest move to get Rukaroro. That man eats up space. That man is an eater. So he's good. And to me, he reminded me of Sean Witherspoon. If people knew how exciting he was to watch. And that's how I think Rukaroro is.
Okay, well said. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit since you brought up AK. You brought up Big Zach Harrison. What's your expectations for those guys going into 2024?
I think the minimum is 7-8 sacks. I think that's their minimum. They should go in there. I think the thing a lot of people don't really see about AK, if you look at all his pressures that he was putting on quarterbacks, I think AK will probably have about 8-9 sacks this year coming up because, and not to mention, he's fast. He's fast. He got a good swim move. So I think with them beefing up that defensive line as well, that's going to add a lot of pressure up the middle. What happens when you add a lot of pressure up the middle? You force the quarterback to move left and right. So you're going to get some sacks in there. Now, there's going to be some times where the quarterback get the ball off. There's going to be some times where they have some bad drives. But I think due to the fact that they're beefing up that defensive line and they're going to push. To me, the game is won off the line. So if you can force that line to move, you got a good chance. And once when it goes to defensive end, we bank everything off of sacks. But you talking about pressure. If you forcing that quarterback to move out of that pocket, that means everything eternal speeds up. The time speeds up. And not to mention, you talking about hitting a moving target while you're moving and the wide receiver is moving. So it's a lot into it than just getting a sack.
Right. You're right. Good point. And that's why you have heard some head coaches, even our former head coaches, say, yeah, you want sacks, but sometimes, they could be a little overrated in a sense. Not saying that they don't matter, but it correlates to the point that you just made also by getting constant pressure on the quarterback, getting him off his spot, making him uncomfortable, making him think fast. That he normally would have to think. So damn good points. Georgia Texas boy says Minnesota didn't want to do more than one guaranteed year with Kirk, which Kirk did. Kirk Cousins spoke on also in the interview as well. Also, hold on. Georgia Texas boy says AJ is definitely worth it. We both agree on that. C-Dub in the middle. What's going on, C-Dub? Y'all make sure to check out C-Dub also on YouTube as well. Make sure to show him some love, run up the likes, run up the comments. He says at this point we got cousin. I think he said Cousins. We got Cuz.
Kirk Cousins.
My bad, C-Dub. It's late, man. I like that abbreviation though. I'm gonna steal that from you. At this point, we got Cousins and Michael Penix Jr., so we need to keep guys healthy and go from there. Plus, let's laugh at Florio whining, but yeah, he been
Florio,
crying.
man. I think he tried to work for the Falcons in 1966 and they turned him down. And now he just 38 hot with the Falcons, man. Like he find ways to hate on the Falcons.
Right. It's like, why are you so invested in us getting hit hard with tampering? I mean, like, dude, you've been covering the league about as long as we've been living, Slim. So, bro, you should know better than anybody that, look, dog, you had to be just doing something downright dirty for them to take a first round and for tampering. You know, if Kirk, it's like this. If Kirk don't open his mouth and word get back to the NFL exactly what happened, they wouldn't have did nothing.
Yeah,
it's just that was on a public platform and he said it.
Yeah, because the thing is, everybody knows. Because here's the thing: if tampering didn't exist in the NFL, then you won't see signings the first day of the. They wouldn't have created the
first hour.
You wouldn't see them. Those contracts are not just, hey, we got this contract for you, sign this. No, those are negotiation contracts. You know what I'm saying? So. And then you can still have a conversation through your agent with the people. So the NFL is not stupid. They know tampering exists. It's just don't make the NFL look bad when it comes to it. And if you don't make them look bad, they won't hold you accountable.
Exactly. Well said. Perez also says, yeah, AJ is locked down. He's not going to get a lot of turnovers, but he's not going to give up nothing either. So draft a gambler to play opposite side of him and compliment him. Bottom line, we need to force turnovers. Jesse Bates III, some 5'2". I totally agree with you on that. Raymond says, I believe they're working something up with AJ as we're speaking. So, Slim, do you think you sign AJ before the season starts, in the middle of the season, or you just, hey, let's just wait out the season and see what happens?
I think because, AJ was here when AJ was a rookie. What's his name? Raheem Morris was still here. So, I think they working something out with AJ, but I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know when they're gonna drop it out because you don't want your star players to go into their last year not under an extension because it sets a bad precedence, and it also, once again, tampering. Teams get in your ear and they be like, hey, if you don't sign here, we got you. So. I think you don't want him to go into his last year not with a secure plan in place, or at least having a conversation with him saying, hey, we planning on blessing you, because sometimes you have to use the franchise tag on a player, not because you're trying to have that player show you something. You're trying to, and I ain't talking about with AJ about the franchise tag, but I'm talking about sometimes you have to extend it because you still got to clear up cap space and you still got to make the contract work. You can't just say, hey, we're going to offer you this. The contract still got to work. So you still need to, hey, this is coming up. So we got to prepare for this and we got to prepare for that. So I think they have a conversation with AJ Terrell going, but that's a good question. I don't know when they're going to drop it out.
Georgia Texas boy also says he is better than True Font.
Way better.
I think so too. And I was believe it or not, I was a huge True Font fan. One thing about AJ, as we already said, he's great at coverage. Not only that, what I really think people don't really give him credit for, or they really overlook, is this dude plays cornerback damn near like outside linebacker, how he comes up to tackle.
Yes.
How often can you say AJ missed a tackle? Now, don't get me wrong, everybody missed tackles. I've seen Ray Lewis miss tackles. That's part of the game. You ain't going to make every tackle. But I'm just saying he's a consistent force coming up, delivering hits. It ain't these little lollygag tackles that you see a lot of these pretty boy corners of today do. AJ will come up and he will tackle. And he comes up aggressive. That's what really has made me a bigger fan of AJ Terrell. I said, okay, this boy play football.
You know what I'm saying? Not to mention, he haven't got hurt. So I think he got hurt once, I think.
He done missed like a half or something. No major injuries. We'll say that.
Yeah, but the thing is, you rarely see cornerbacks Quarterbacks make the business decision when it comes to tackling. That's why now the roll-up tackle is going to hurt a lot of cornerbacks because that's how they was trained to tackle, the roll-up tackle. And now that's a 15-yard penalty. So now you need some people back there that's going to hit. And A.J. Terrell is going to hit you. So a lot of people just don't realize just how valuable A.J. Terrell is. It's like once he's gone, you're going to realize just how open that side up, because it's going to be hard for you to find another cornerback to replace his production. Right. His production is the reason why Jesse Bates doing so good, because he don't have to worry about AJ Terrell, his man. He don't have to worry about it. AJ Terrell know how to shed off of tackles. He know how to get in the tackle hip pocket when you're playing zone. He know how to follow the receiver until he goes into someone else's zone. So a lot of people just don't realize just how much work that young bull put in for that game, man. And he deserves to get every penny he's gonna get.
He does. He deserves to get his money, man. You know, he definitely deserves it. You know, I'm not saying that he's as good of a corner as Lindstrom is, but Lindstrom got his money. AJ deserved to get his money. We'll see what happens with Kyle Pitts at the end of this year. I think they're gonna probably make Kyle play the entire year and see what happens with him now that he has a capable quarterback. But it seems like me, you, and a lot of people in the chat are on the same page when it comes to AJ. Georgia, Texas boy says when AJ had a solid number 2 in Hayward, AJ was top 5. That was his all-pro year, I think. So Thomas says we paid Mooney a whole lot of money. What do you think about that? We think we overpaid there?
Mooney, to me, is going to be the Mohamed Sanu of the team. I think Mooney already know, and I think he came out and said it in his interviews. Listen, he's not coming here to try to take London's job. He knows that he's a second string wide receiver. Mooney is going to be the Mohamed Sanu of this team. He has the measurables, he got the speed, he got good separation. He had a good season with the Bears, but once again, the Bears is not a team you want to hang your hat on when it comes to player development, because the Bears shown you that they don't really value the quarterback position the way they should, and they don't really give him that much help. And Mooney, when he was forced to be the number 1, he produced. I think he got 1,100 yards in one season. So he's a good second string quarterback, and then wide receiver. But you don't want him to be superseding Drake London, your Kyle. That's your main person. You want to have plays made for Drake London. You don't want Mooney to outperform your main wide receiver. It's just, first off, it's a bad look, and two, you already got your stars on the team. And that's Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, and Drake London. Those are the main people who should get the ball. And I'm pretty sure Mooney understand that. And then you're getting a good check behind it too. So I wouldn't, because you're still getting paid regardless whether you caught one ball or 100. So
yeah. Yeah, you're right. And Wallace echoes that sentiment. Wallace says $39 million for 3 years is not a lot of money. They paid Mooney, and this was another good signing. Perez says AJ is not better than Desmond Trufant. They wouldn't even throw the Trufant side before he got hurt, and he caught picks and pick sixes also.
To me, I agree, but then I don't agree, because Trufant didn't have catch-up speed. Trufant was one of those players who played 10 yards off the ball. If you look at Trufant's interceptions, he didn't muscle up a player to get those interceptions. Trufant jumped the route. So if you look at when he lined up, they was killing him with the slants because he was like 10 yards away from the wide receiver. And I used to say, why is he lining up so far behind the line wide receiver? It's because his comeback speed wasn't that. His close-up speed wasn't that real good. Trufant, AJ has all of that. To me, if you're talking about recent cornerbacks, the best cornerback we had recently was Brent Grimes. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was a true cornerback through and through.
Yeah, yeah,
And he was short, and that boy
yeah.
had some jump.
He was a baller too. Now that's one mistake the franchise made. I know there were some nasty negotiations that happened. He was coming off an Achilles, if memory serves me correct.
Yes.
And Dimitrov and they were kind of like, I don't know, let him go in free agency, and that one came back to bite us in the ass. He had a stellar career in Miami as soon as he left Atlanta.
Yeah.
And you could actually see it when he was playing with us. But the thing about it is, when he was with Atlanta, he was pretty much injury prone. But once he got down to Miami, I guess he just started eating them oranges down there, and he stopped getting injured, and we looked like fools, so we lost that one. That's when we definitely lost. We should have kept him. And I know when I speak about that, sometimes people say, "Well, yeah, Tyler, but his wife, man, she was." And I'm like, man, bro, she okay, cool. She ain't playing on the field,
I know. That's like folks with the what's his name? The dude who married Sierra. Wilson. People talking
Russell
about,
Wilson.
yeah, people talk about, man, the fans gonna be talking about the future and all that stuff. Nobody cares about that. This is business, man. Come on, like only fans who. I'm like, come on, man. No one cares.
Right.
You think Russell Wilson gonna care as he getting that check deposit on Monday in his account that a fan screen future, or they played a future song around him? He probably listen to Future. So
Right. Exactly.
I'm like, come on.
It's not that much of a soap opera that us fans make it out to be, and that's why we fans, and that's why they do what they do. They the professionals.
Yeah.
Let's see, Larry from the Dix Way. What's going on, Larry? Y'all make sure to check out my guy Larry also on YouTube.
What's up, Larry?
Shonda at the Dixon Way. And I see they have been on vacation, having a good time down there in the Miami area. Speaking of Miami, I see them in Hollywood, Florida. So I hope y'all having a good time there, Larry. Wallace says AJ was better than True Font because he's been available to play more games than True Font did. Larry says, man, I would like to thank Rich McKay for convincing the NFL not to slap us in the wrist with a 5th-round pick and fines. Personally, I don't think Rich McKay really had anything to do with it. I just think they just gave us what we should have got for what we did. What you think, Slim?
I think it was the same, what you just said. I think it was that. Because the thing is, once you look at what they got charged with, it's not what you did, it's what you got charged with. And that was just talking about traveling. What you gonna say? Hey, because you was trying to get your traveling situation under control, because it wasn't tampering to the point to where you was trying to convince Kirk Cousins to not sign with the Vikings, because that was already done. It was just within that 2-year period. Now, granted, that player is not supposed to talk to anybody from the Falcons organization, but I don't think it was egregious to where the Falcons was trying to convince Kirk Cousins not to go back to the Vikings. So they wasn't negotiating nothing with him. They was just telling him about his travel and stuff. So you can't really make him pay a whole 1st round for it.
Yeah, and also if we may, let's switch gears a little bit and we can continue to talk about everything we've talked about already. But recently, Bijan, Raheem Morris, and I think even Zach Robinson came out and said that Bijan will be used similar to how Christian McCaffrey is used in San Francisco. What I want to talk about, what I would like you to talk about is what happens to Tyler Allgeier in this situation, who actually is the franchise record holder for the for the most rushing yards as a rookie, and he's only in his 3rd season. So is he going to become kind of lost in space a little bit? Because you could tell they're starting to build up Bijan. If this was a record label, Bijan is the priority. He gonna drop in the 4th quarter. He gonna get all the big name producers to work on his project. He gonna be at the Breakfast Club and the Joe Budden podcast, and Tyler, we'll get your album when we can. So What's Tyler Allgeier's role in this?
I think Tyler Allgeier is just a victim of circumstances. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at the Chargers when they had LaDainian Tomlinson and Tomlinson and Michael Turner. Michael Turner was a monster. But the thing was, the money speaks and all the other stuff is just part of the business. Bijan was drafted in the first round, so he's going to be the cash cow because you're not gonna unless Tyler Allgeier just honestly blows them away. He's just going to be a victim of circumstance because it's going to come to a point to where you're going to have to pick between Bijan and Tyler, and it's going to automatically be Bijan because he's a first round draft pick. I think Tyler was a sixth round?
Fifth round.
Yeah, so it just sucks that that's how the NFL, but due to the fact the running back position is being devalued, you could probably keep him on there, but I think he's going to probably go to another team and just ball out. And just like how Michael Turner, when he came here, he balled out because he runs just like Michael Turner. He runs low to the ground. He gets under his pad. I mean, the other team pad level. He is one of those thumpers that you might stop him from 2 yards, but you're going to feel those 2 yards. The thing about Bijan is he's more elusive. He's not going to run through you for nothing. So when you hit Bijan, you hitting Bijan. So that's but you got to hit him. But with Tyler Allgeier runs like he wants you to hit him. So me personally, I like Allgeier. I like Allgeier running style. I like that boy hard in the game. That boy run like a missile. But I do think he's just going to be a victim of circumstances.
I can definitely see that. And you mentioned the Michael Turner situation. Shout out to Michael Turner also. I want to ask you this. Tyler's entering his third year. So without looking, correct me if I'm wrong, but without looking, being that he was not a first round pick, I think he's on a 4-year contract. So he's entering the third year of his contract with Atlanta. Again, y'all pardon me, but we're moving in space or in time, I should say. Do you think you move Tyler Allgeier after this season, or do you just ride him out the whole 4 years and just let him go in free agency?
What running backs now is, I think you're just going to ride him out the whole season because what are you going to trade him for? Due to the value of a running back is not that high. You're not going to be able to trade him for a lot of draft picks. And people nowadays, I can go get a running back. I just get a decent running back and I'm good. So you just ride him out and let him go out in free agency and go to a team he want to go to. So because even if you try to trade him now, you're still not going to get a lot for him because the running back position is not valued like it used to be. Now, if this was 10 years ago, you can get a lot for him. But now it's just you can still get a first round pick for Bijan Robinson because of the name and what he's done. But
versatility.
With a Tyler Allgeier, I would say at most you would probably get us another fifth because why would a team trade you that much for a running back when they know you're going to have to cut him eventually?
Yeah, good point. And also, I want to thank everybody, welcome everybody in, appreciate everybody coming in, checking us out. It's your dog Toddy here with Atlanta Bird Gang. I got my guy Slim Dollar in the building as well. Y'all do us both a huge favor as you're watching. Make sure you do hit that like button for us. That way we jump in your algorithm and we also jump in somebody else's algorithm. Definitely helps the channel out a great deal. Thank you very much in advance. So Slim Perez Lopez says, okay, Ruke, and I hope I said his name right, would have been there in the 7th round. Nobody was checking for him. You didn't have to trade up for him. And the reason I call your name on this comment, Slam, because you know more about him in college than I do. So what's your thoughts?
That right there is wrong because when the Falcons drafted that defensive line, there was a run on defensive line. So Rukeroro I think he was graded at 65 in best players, right? So he wasn't going to be available in those seventh round. So he was going to probably get at worst the end of the second round. And the Falcons, I guess they must have foresighted what was going on, because whenever they drafted a player, there was a run on that position. So Rukaroro, and not to mention, you also got to take into consideration Rukaroro fit what the Falcons is trying to do. Just because you got a good player that was in college, or you think this player might not be, might have been better in college, doesn't necessarily guarantee he's going to be great in the defensive style you're trying to run. The Falcons, I think, is going back to a 3-4 base. So Rukaroro might fit what they're looking for. And I think they're looking for, like I said before, length, space eaters, and stuff like that. So to me, you can't really, a lot of people take a lot of the draft pundits and what they say as the gospels, but that player also have to fit with what the Falcons are looking for. So just like everybody was saying the Falcons should have drafted Dallas Turner. Well, the Falcons didn't value Dallas Turner that high. The way Falcon fans and other people were saying the Falcons should just take him at 8. Well, the Falcons didn't look at him that way. So if he fits, if the Falcons believe in him to fit in that 3-4, then he's high on their board. Yeah, and I would respect Terry Fontenot more for sticking to his board than sticking to what the media tells you to get.
Good point. I was just going to say that. You make a great point when you said the Falcons obviously didn't value him that high. I think a lot of that was, I think it was a combination of a few factors. People looked at us and our notorious history of not having, very good or great pass rushers, and they figured, okay, well, here's your time right now to get one. Also, as you mentioned just a moment ago, everybody in the media said, well, he's going to go to Atlanta. He's going to Atlanta. That's what the media told us all, that, they had brainwashed me into we're going to get Dallas Turner in. I had fell for it because they kept telling me that. All the pundits and all that. Okay, we'll get Dallas Turner. And also, he played for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and of course, sitting right there to the border is the Atlanta Falcons. So it seemed to be a natural fit. But as you just said, if that's not what Terry Fontenot values, if Terry ain't got him high on his board, that's not what they're going to do. And obviously, they valued Penix a lot, and Wallace mentioned this in the comments not long ago. But when they took that late, I guess I call it a late recruiting trip and went to Washington, and they saw that boy throwing in that 50-degree weather in that wind, and it looked like he was in the dome with 80-degree weather. I'm like, okay, well, our mind is made. If he's there at 8, we're going to take him at 8, and y'all can slander us all y'all want to. But look, this is who we like. And that's another, and kind of going back, and I won't dwell too much into it, but that's why I'm really okay with the Penix pick, because this is the guy they recruited. This wasn't a rash decision. They went and saw him one more time, just like, let's just make sure. They spent a lot of time in researching this guy. And look, if we brought Terry Fontenot in as our GM, he hired his own talent evaluators, and if we brought him in because he's this specialist in talent evaluation, you got to let the man do his job, or you got to let him do what he's an expert at, in my opinion.
And not to mention, it was reported before the draft, Raheem Morris was saying, man, we got to get this man. We got to get this. And I'm paraphrasing, man, we got to get this young bull. And they was trying to trade up. And even if they would have traded up in the first round, guess who they would have got? Penix. Because they was in love with that. They was in love with that guy. So the thing is, now he fell in your lap. You don't pass it up, especially he's a quarterback. You don't pass it up. It makes the most sense. And what was I about to say? You had mentioned a great point. What was I about to say? I'll come back to it.
Was it about Fontenot?
Nah. You mentioned it'll come back.
All right, cool. William, what's up? He says Kirk Cousins was talking too much in the press conference. Georgia Texas boy said you signed AJ in training camp, just like Lindstrom. You think it's a possibility that we do that, or we just don't really know at this point?
It is a possibility. It's a possibility of he might get an interception. Next thing you know, the next day he on a new contract. So it's a possibility of anything, because you want to let him know that the team is behind him. And by you going early to the table, letting him know that you got a contract worked out, it shows more faith that we support you, instead of, hey, you got to prove it to us now.
Let's see. Mark says AJ is not better than True Font. So that's just another person. AJ is not better than True Font, just healthier.
Nah, I gotta disagree with that one. True Font was good. I was a True Font fan. I was a major True Font fan. You know what the problem was? We saw what's his name? He down San Francisco now, doing pretty good. Oliver. We saw a little bit of Oliver. Next thing you know, oh my God, he the next corner. He the next league. He the next hottest thing in the NFL. And then how that turned out, just like the Chris Redman. How that turned out, he played a few good games, and then, oh my God, we found us our quarterback. So AJ Terrell has shown you back to back. He deserved to be paid. I'm gonna give another thing. Everybody agree that, not everybody agree, but majority of people agree Deion Sanders was the best cornerback in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
But Deion Sanders, most of his years, he only had 2 and 3 interceptions. His rookie year, he had 7. And he never got over 7. He never got 7 interceptions again. But he's considered the best cornerback in the NFL because he was a shutdown cornerback. Was our head coach assistant? He was here last year. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. He's DB coach now for the defense. He was on last year too. And he was talking about it. He was saying how shutdown corners don't really get interceptions because of how they play the ball. It's not like a safety. A safety is looking. If a safety is having to run with a wide receiver, that means the wide receiver probably got behind him. So
that's going to be a question I'm going to have to ponder to the group soon. Like, who was the better corner, AJ or True Font? I don't think True Font really got the credit that he did deserve in Atlanta. I think a lot of people do look at him after he got hurt and after he got his money. And I kind of feel the same way about Devontae Freeman as well. I think we tend to look at, and I know why Devontae, because of that block in the Super Bowl, but I don't think we look enough at the years that Devontae was a great running back. There was a 2-year period that he easily was a top 5 running back. But, they say the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league, so I guess I can understand it a little bit as well. Seth says, I like to see AJ on Mooney, but I know who wins that one. Millie Mills in the building. What's up, Mills? Says, no, Ty, the biggest question mark for me is going to be Rondale Moore. I just don't think dude is it. What you think, Slim?
I think we shouldn't be expecting Rondale Moore to lead the team. So to lead the team in receptions or anything. So I mean, you talking about Rondale Moore, the one they traded for 1-to-1 with Desmond Ridder?
Yeah, he was the Desmond Ridder trade.
I'm thinking of Moody, my bad. But Moore is just a simple on a prove it deal. Like that was they trying to do right by Ridder and let him go somewhere else. And the Cardinals trying to do right by Rondale Moore and let him go somewhere else. That's what I think it was. Don't try to expect him to come in and really outshine him. I mean, shoot, he might not even be on the team past preseason. Preseason. So I think we are putting too much emphasis on that trade as he's supposed to come in and be the next Julian Edelman or something.
or maybe Taylor Gabriel in 2016 for us.
Yeah. Or what's the one who went over there to Tampa Bay? Yeah, that
Russell
was
Gage.
Taylor. Yeah, Russell Gage. We want too much. We putting too much emphasis on a Moore was just a 1-for-1 swap with Desmond Ritter because I think they really was just trying to respect the fact that Desmond Ritter got the short end of the stick here. And I blame Arthur Smith for it because you put that boy out there and he wasn't ready. But it was just basically a 1-for-1 swap to give him a chance to redevelop himself and get himself back right.
Right, and Latoya Jones in the building. What's going on, Latoya? Says Bijan better hold on to the ball. I second that. No more of them crucial, critical fumbles this year. Speaking of ball, let's talk about our linebacker room real quick before we get out of here, Slim. As we know, Troy Andersen was drafted in the second round, I think in the 2022 draft, if memory serves me correctly.
Yes.
And he got hurt this past year. He essentially missed the entire season. During his absence, you had this undrafted free agent by the name of Nate Landman step in, and based on circumstances, and when I say circumstances, I mean based on the fact that he was an undrafted free agent making absolute peanuts, he came and played some damn good football. So that was a win for Atlanta with Nate Landman. They gave him they redid his contract here in the offseason. Question is, do you now demote Nate back to the depth chart at second string and you give Troy Andersen his job back? I mean, because this guy is a second stringer. Or do you say, hey, Troy, look, this guy was playing better than you was no matter where he was drafted at. Like, what's your thoughts on what's going? How is this going to shape up?
To me, Nate Landman is going to get his position back. I meant Troy Andersen. I'm sorry. Troy Andersen is going to get his position back. One, Troy Andersen got way more tangibles than Nate Landman. Nate Landman was, don't get me wrong, he was a thumper. He'll hit you. That was old school football right there, the way he played. But Nate Landman got speed. I mean, Troy Andersen got speed. He got the length that the Falcons are looking for. It's hard to throw over somebody that got darn tall. What is he, like 6'5"? He's tall for a middle linebacker. So I don't think he's going to lose his position because if you looked at his interview, how he was talking about how he's commanding the team and all that other stuff, giving out the call, I think he's going to get his position back. He's going to win that position back. Even if he got to win the position back, I think he's going to do it.
That's going to be a battle I'm looking forward to. I will be on the opposite end of the spectrum on this topic. I don't think Troy's going to get that job back. Watching them both play, and they actually pretty much have similar in-game experience at this point because Nate didn't really play at all his first year outside of maybe special teams. But I just see a more natural talent when I watch Nate Landman play linebacker than a Troy Andersen. Troy, to me, it just seems like he didn't have the nuances of the linebacker position. It's just a bunch of raw talent. So I think Nate Landman is going to hold him off and retain that linebacker job. But that will be something that's a good problem to have, and that's going to be something that we can look at as the season progresses. So definitely a good problem to have for the Falcons. I feel like we have a pretty solid linebacker room. Caden Ellis gave us good football this year as well. So we'll see how that plays out. Jumping in the chat real quick. Oh, go ahead. You have something to say?
Yeah, I was about to say, let me I knew what I was going to say now. Also, if you look at the new rules with the NFL, that means it's more passing now. If you was talking, Nate Landman is good for the short games, like short and runs. He's good for plugging that up. But if you're talking about now that going back to the draft, you didn't see where, it's very rare that the first 14 draft picks was all offensive players. So that means now the NFL is starting to prepare for a more passing league offense. You got a Troy Andersen who can keep up with those type of tight ends, who can keep up with slot receivers. Troy Andersen is also tall enough to actually get there, especially when you talk about length. Nate Landman is I think he's more of a third and fourth down or middle linebacker where or maybe a first where a team is trying to run the ball, then that makes more sense. You're going to keep rotating them in and out. But I think just off of GP, Troy Andersen got that spot because we moving into a passing league now. So Nate Landman, I don't think is going to be able to hold up throughout the whole game when you're talking about passing because he's not that fast. So that was just my little conjecture of it.
Yeah, when you're talking about speed, there's really no comparison. I think Troy 4.3, and I think Nate is like 4.93. So that's night and day. I might get Nate Landman to run for his money in my 40s. So Jerry Gray, appreciate it, Latoya. That's what you.
Jerry Gray, that's his name. Jerry Gray. Man, I'm having a brain fart.
Jerry Gray.
I'm 37. I'm getting old.
You getting up there. You getting close. You better appreciate them 30s while you still there. I will tell you that. What's going on, Demetrius? What's happening? Jimmy Hall in the building. What's up, Jimmy? Latoya also says Tyler showing out this year. I definitely hope so. I love Tyler Allgeier. But as Slim was saying earlier,
I like Tyler.
The equity of that Bijan pick, man, they gotta get their money's worth out of him.
Yeah.
Perez Lopez says, appreciate y'all having us. I appreciate you following through, bro. Need something to do with the finals being over? Yeah, that's pretty much a wrap. Good show. Definitely subscribe. Appreciate the subscription, bro. Thank you very much. Our brother James Holloway in the building. What's going on, James? How you doing tonight, bro? Jimmy Hall said AJ is better. Okay, we may have to do a separate show on who was the better corner, AJ or Desmond Trufant. We may have to do that. We have to do that on the Waffle House one night. Argue about that. Appreciate it, Bernard. Thank you very much. It's a good show. Jordan Texas Boy said your mic is messing up. Same as folks not giving AJ credit. He crazy, man. Jordan Texas Boy also says we only had one wide receiver with NFL playing time, and Drake. Bernard says Rondale Moore is gonna make explosive plays. I definitely hope so. We got the right kind of quarterback for it. Raymond says he got improved. Nephew coach Rook at Clemson said he has a high motor and gonna turn some heads. Seth says Russell Wilson likes to lead a pocket. We need space and speed at linebacker. So do you think we need to add some more depth to the linebacker room?
My thing is this: competition is always good. So, and not to mention, I think you can have right now before the end of preseason, you can have like 90-something players on the team. So my thing is this: as of right now, choose add whoever you want to add. Competition is always good. So it's never a bad thing to have people competing for a position. So. I think people now looking at the team as if the team is the already set 53-man roster. So,
and also, Slam, one last thing. Let's talk about Calais Campbell. He just signed with Miami. And I know a lot of us, including me, I was hoping that he would come back to Atlanta. And neither one of us are in his head. Do you think he's going back to Miami to finish his career for sentimental reasons, or because I know Terry Fontenot mentioned maybe a month and a half ago that
they left the door open for him.
Right, they left the door open, and then he pretty much said, hey, he's gonna let me know what he decides, and obviously he decided Miami and not Atlanta. Do you think that was a financial thing? Do you think they just had more money to offer him than we can? Because I think we only got about $7.5 million cap space right now. Or not per, I think about 7.
But what did he get with Miami?
I don't think they've disclosed it as of yet.
Yeah, because I didn't see what he got with Miami. But I think that's more of a retirement move. That's like folks in the military. They go to their last duty station, typically at a place they're going to retire in. So I think that was more of a retirement move. You want to get your family. You already know you're probably going to retire out there in Florida. That's a good place for people to retire. It's considered one of the best states to retire in. So you already getting paid and you're getting your family adjusted to the Florida life. So, hey, much respect to him. And not to mention, the Falcons loaded up on the defensive line. They got 5 defensive players in the draft. he ain't gonna be able to see the field as much as he was last time. So, and regardless of how old he is, he still want to get out there and play. He want to be important to the team. So when you start drafting that many defensive linemen, you already letting them know you're going to be a rotational player. And someone of Calais Campbell's stature and his heart and his drive, I don't think he just said, I just want to be a rotational player. I want to be a focal point of the team.
Yeah, good point. And also, I mean, it's hard to turn down Miami, especially when you're a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Man, that's a hard place to turn down. One last thing before we ride out, Slim. We know winning is the most important thing, of course. Yes, to win. I want to ask you, Kyle Pitts, he got his 5th-year option picked up. His first year was great as for a rookie standards with former Falcons legend Matt Ryan. The years thereafter were pretty much I would say a letdown. Although he was injured, I will give him that. Just from a statistical standpoint, of course, I know winning is the key, but statistically, what's a successful season look like for Kyle Pitts in your opinion?
My thing is, you drafted Kyle Pitts. Here's the thing, and I'll be defending Kyle Pitts too. Kyle Pitts didn't have, me personally, he didn't have bad years, because you have to look at, was he the top receiver outside of the year he got injured because he couldn't play? But last year, he was one of the top receivers with the Falcons. People acting like the Falcons had 1,000-yard receivers. We didn't have no 1,000-yard receiver. Right. The most touchdowns Drake London had was 3. Guess how many Kyle Pitts had? 3. So they both was top receivers based on the quarterback we had. They couldn't get him the ball. So, and if you look at his targets, he caught most of the balls that was thrown to him. So to me, did he have a bad season? No. Because you have to put it in perspective of what he was put in. But a lot, and I said this to another person, what do you expect Kyle Pitts to do? As soon as they hike the ball, walk up to Desmond Ridder, yank the ball out of his hand and go get some yards? Like, no, Desmond Ridder couldn't deliver him the ball on a consistent basis. But you drafted Kyle Pitts 4th overall. To me, he's going to be the focal point of this team. You have to make him the catalyst of the team. And when you're talking about a veteran quarterback, who is the number 1 target for all veteran quarterbacks? A tight end, because they are first off, the matchups. That a tight end is typically on a what? Either when you're playing nickel, he's on a safety, or a third cornerback, and that third cornerback is usually smaller. He's not. Are you on a middle linebacker? I'm pretty sure Kyle Pitts can beat all of those people. And if you break down most franchise quarterbacks, like Patrick Mahomes, who is his number 1 target? It's the
tight end.
The tight end. So this team needs to move with Kyle Pitts. He needs to be the focal point. So I think he's going to have a monster year. Look at Matt Ryan's. When Kyle Pitts was a rookie, like you were saying, he had a dynamic career. How many times did Matt Ryan throw Kyle Pitts open? How many times did Matt Ryan give the ball to Kyle Pitts? And we had Calvin Ridley on the team. So the thing is, your tight end is a franchise quarterback best target because of the matchups
and the that safety blanket factor. So when Matt first came in, he had Tony Gonzalez for the early part of his year, and it definitely served him well. And he had a great running game too at Michael Turner, which I think we're going to continue to have also with Bijan and Tyler Allgeier. And on that note, one last comment from Wallace is I think we'll get to see Pitts get back to what we saw him do his rookie season. Now that we have a competent quarterback and a better scheme for Pitts, I think so. Also,
Wallace be dropping some knowledge. Wallace be dropping some deep stuff.
Yeah, Wallace.
I
Stay
like
dropping
I
them.
like I like reading his comments when I be on the back end watching.
Yeah, and Wallace be all over the Falcons content creators pages dropping the same knowledge, man. So shout out to you, Wallace. And with that said, we're gonna get ready to get out of here. Slim, you want to promote anything, social media, in the projects, or anything you're working on?
Man, just donate to your local charity, man. Boo. Hey, make sure y'all hit that like button, man. Subscribe. Ty to be putting in that work. Then as soon as he get off, he be posting on Facebook, man. Hey, much respect to you, Ty.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. And to reiterate what my guy just said, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. We definitely appreciate it. May come in and do the Waffle House tomorrow. I will let y'all know sometime tomorrow. With that said, I'm Toddy. That's Slam. We're officially out of here. Peace out, y'all.